All right. Take any questions you guys got.
Coach, could you, my main tie to Baylor is Pauls Valley when he was Caden Knighton. Could you talk a little bit about him, just how he's bouncing back from injury and kind of making a year-two leap? I know kind of a stacked running back room. You got Rylan Morris, who's also a kid that's a little fringy for my area. But just a little bit about those two and what you kind of expect learning maybe from Pendergrass too.
Caden's got a great determination about him, and I feel like it's a really good off-season. And I thought in spring ball really started off strong. And so, his determination and the perseverance that he showed really kind of defines him. And so he's mature for his years. He's a young guy, but really kind of moves and acts like an older guy. And someone that has earned our trust and is someone that I can count on. It's a critical moment. It's a critical play. I can trust Caden to be where he needs to be and do what he needs to do. Yeah, and then Dawson Pendergrass, to have Dawson back. Dawson brings the ability to kind of take a deep breath. Hey, we're going to get it to Dawson. It's going to be all right. Like, he brings that. And it's because he's been in big moments before and has achieved, and is someone that you trust, and is someone that wants those big moments again. He's got chip on his shoulder. I think anytime you come back from an injury, right, and you thought of something and then you kind of forgot about, and now it's like this whole thing, right, he wants to be able to make a statement. And I'm excited for him. I'm one of his biggest fans. I want him to make that statement for us too.
Coach, talking with the players, they talked about a message that they have is kill or be killed. What's the message behind that, and how do you feel that the team is that motivated?
We're in a leadership council meeting, and guys were talking. And I think as those leadership council meetings have gone, from really January until now, it's gotten more and more players speaking. I think initially there was always the opportunity for players to speak, but very few would speak. January, February, and even some of in the March, and there's more guys speaking now, and I think that's the goal of it. The goal is for the players to lead the team, and to be the message boards of what we're about, and take ownership of this team. Way different when there's a team that's owned as a team that's being played through, and so. When they were talking about, hey, what's the mantra for us and what we want to be known as, it was that. And what it goes into that is like, man, everything counts, everything matters, right? There is no, starting slow. There is no easing off the gas pedal in the fourth quarter because we're up. Every play is a war, and we're here to win it. And so it's good to hear them speak that. And now that they've said it, it's for us to be that. Yeah.
You're talking about your running back room and adding DJ Lagway as a mobile quarterback and returning Dawson Pendergrass. How does that open up the running back game with DJ Lagway's mobility?
Yeah, I think for us to be the team that we need to be, it needs to be to where we got a play call and we've got it ID'd right, where we've ID'd the mic and we're working this way, and the defense is where they need to be too. So they're aligned and their assignments right where they need to be, and no one's tripped or fall down, no one busted. Everyone's where they need to be, and so we're on it and they're on it, and that needs to be a 4-yard gain for us. And if that's the case, Baylor's going to win a lot of games, and that needs to be the case. And from the very beginning, we built it so for that to happen. 2 years ago, that was the case. Last year, that was a 1-yard gain for Baylor. And so we're having to throw because we're being forced to throw, right? We've got to throw when we want to throw, and we want to run it as many times as we can. And so I think O-line wise, there's a mentality and there's an effort that we're really working hard to shine through. I think DJ gives us the ability when linebackers and nickels are turning back and running with people, and there's tight coverage, especially on the interior, to take off and run. He's shown our best plays in the spring were scramble plays or passes off of scrambles. And so he's shown a knack for that. We're trying to encourage that more when there's tight coverage to feel the difference of that as opposed to not. And then, like I say, Dawson gives us the ability to be physical. Dawson's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove to himself. And so we want to be able to feed that.
Coach, talking about EA Sports, what was the decision and the process of making sure you guys were in that this year?
Yeah, I think it's what I think the guys like to play that. I think they want to be involved with that, and so you have the opportunity. I think a lot of guys played that kind of coming up, and so now that they're here, they have a chance to see what they're ranked and what their score is, and kind of how they move. And so I think that's an easy one.
Coach,
Dave, I know there's still legislation in Congress, but NIL turned 5 years old, and you got the House settlement. Have NIL and the House settlement made college football and college sports better?
I think what's got to happen is there has to be a law that everyone abides by, and that's enforced. And I think once you have that, then I think you can live real peacefully with NIL. Until that happens, you're going to have the haves and the have-nots, and you're going to have disparaging records that I don't think the money is a sole factor in wins and losses, but I do think it does affect. I think the more money you have in your program, the less mistakes you can make, and the talent or the money that you're spending kind of bails you out, right? The less money you have. My son plays video games, and so there's games that he can play where he can gain lives, and so he's on stage 1 to go to stage 10. The more lives you gain, right? You die, but you really don't die, and you have a chance to get to level 10. Where if the more money you spend on talent, right? Hey, I made a mistake on the Friday pregame, or hey, I made a mistake on the fourth quarter, or hey, I made a mistake with this meal, right? But your talent gets you out of it, and you have another life, right? The less money you have, the more money doesn't mean wins, but the less money you have, right? You make one of those mistakes, you're dead. It's a big difference. And so to have it to where there's a level playing field and the rules are enforced, I think NIL is a positive thing.
Coach, Trey Strelka's son's at UCF. Later this season, you play in Orlando. How important do you think Scott Frost getting quarterback Alonzo Barnett will mean to the Knights this coming season?
I'm a big fan of Coach Frost, and just seeing him up here today, I think he's someone that is a player's coach that guys want to play for, and I'm really rooting for him. He's one of the. There's a lot of the guys that are here today that I consider friends and I communicate with, and he's one of them. We just had an athletic trainer that went from Baylor to UCF, and so they're a team that I root for, and I really want the best for them for every game except for our, and so I'm rooting for Scott.
How important do you think Barnett will be?
It's important. Yeah, he's a very good player.
You mentioned staying in touch with him. Coach McGuire talked about a group text.
Yeah.
Are you part of that group?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
He says some jabs are thrown. Are you a jabber?
No, I'm not. Yeah, but yeah, we do have one, and you can tell very much the guys that are young, they are on there quite a bit, and some of the guys that are older, not so much. Yeah.
Who's the jabbers?
I don't know. I'd have to review who the jabbers are. There's a lot of times if there's a lot of pings and everything going, I'll wait a day or two before I look at it.
Dave, you talked about building from the inside out,
Yeah.
particularly on defense. How did you address that? How did you feel like you did in the dressing room?
We always want to go to a bowl game, and we want the ability to be involved that way. Not having that, right, and then still being able to come back for another year. The benefit of that was all the work done in identifying guys. Is that all throughout the bowl season for everyone else, we're identifying players, we're grading them, we're talking a whole breakdown of, there's an analytical thing. So like say if you're a defensive tackle and there's 10 runs to you, right, they'll say, hey, the average player will make 30% of the plays, runs to them. And so then there's a group of them, hey, here's a group of players that make 60% of the plays going to them. So now we want to look at that list, right? And then we want to be able to evaluate that, get to know those players more. So when portal opens, we have a lot of those answers already. So we're way ahead of it. And I feel like that's enabled us to, off of spring and off of summer, I feel like we hit on a lot of guys. The season will tell for sure. But I'm way confident on both lines of scrimmage.
One of those guys that you feel like you run with?
Still up to grabs. We'll see how that goes.
Coach.
Yes.
Jamal Weiss, I'm from Baylor.
Yes.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Just to switch things up a little bit, who on the team will play you in a movie?
Oh yes. Yeah, I was asked that question earlier. I did not know who that was. Yeah. You have You have someone you think could play that?
Nah, I'll probably say Mike Allen. You and Mike Allen, y'all got a lot of similarities. Real business oriented.
Thank you.
Phone ring all day.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm a big Mike Allen fan. I think that's a compliment. Go Mike.
Go Mike.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mike, Coach, how valuable is it? I know 4-2-5 defense, you got to have safety kind of running things. Having a guy like him back there, kind of running the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike's special, and I think it's special what's happening right now with Mike Allen. I think a lot of teams don't have what we have with him, and just his not only what he gives us on the field, but what he gives us off the field. And it is like a player coach in so many ways, and selfless and strong leadership. He's able to connect with everybody on the team, and so a lot of times you don't get this. And so the fact that we've got him, we're trying to. Yes, yeah, we put him in front as best we can, and I'm way proud of Mike. And Mike's he'll be a head coach someday, somewhere. You mark that down.
Coach, year 7 for you.
Yeah.
How are you different this year? And I don't know, do you feel any sense of relief maybe giving up play calling duties and maybe being able to float a little bit more?
Yeah, I wanted to try to open up more. I could feel myself kind of closing in. You got the Max Holloway and Conor McGregor fight this Saturday. I'm excited for that fight. But, one of those guys is going to be taking incoming, going to be covering up and trying to protect. And I could feel myself do that, and I don't want to do that. And so to not do that means kind of open up and let people in and do all that. I told the story of when I was younger. I don't remember how old I was. There used to be a restaurant called Marie Callender's, and I was at Marie Callender's with my dad and my brother, Mike, and my grandmother. And so I was young. And I remember there was something that I did that I wasn't supposed to do. And I got reprimanded for it. And I'm sitting there at Marie Callender's, and my grandmother told me, Dave, why'd you do this? You're not supposed to do that. And I was so mad at my dad. Because I just that's between us. Why would you tell, and it's my grandmother, but why would you tell her? And I was just a little kid, so I don't know what had to happen for me to think like that. But if you think like that when you're however aged, and when you're 50, it gets 10 times worse, right? So that's just keeping stuff in, not really secrecy, but walls or whatever. And so to not be that way when you've been that way for the longest time is difficult. And so social media is part of trying to open that up.
Is that hard for you?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah.
All right, thanks everyone for the increased social media presence that
Yeah,
you've had over the
that's
past.
it. Yeah. So that has been fun, but it is something that I feel like whenever I do it, it's hey, this game day, here we go. It's not something where it can just be fun and it's just automatic. I have to kind of get ready for it. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, thank you guys.